western Pennsylvania. I-79 heading north, and it's gorgeous. So 52% battery, 126 mile range, 103.2 traveled. So that's 229 range, 0.3, 0.4 on a 226 advertised car. So I don't know what's going on with cruise control. Like I said, if I have to do that, if I did the trip I did 3 weeks ago, I'm still going to use my foot. Because that's the thing in West Virginia, there's just no quick charging. And even the level 2 charging, some car dealers are real being pricks about. Just like, so I made a little printout, like 3 pages going to North Carolina, and it was just chargers I was going to use, and then most of it was chargers just in case. And most of them were in West Virginia. Nice boat trailer. I would get something like that and I put solar panels on there. If I got it cheap enough. So we're up to 57 degrees on the dash, 56 on Google. 10:27 p.m. This says we're going to hit Walmart at 10:43. I think we got to cut over to 90 and then take an exit. I said, yeah. Well, let Electrify America know we're out here. And then it said, several people said the charging's free. So there's something wrong. So in my garage, I called up Electrify America app, and hopefully it's still on the phone. If it's charging free, hopefully there's not somebody there just closing up the panel, ending the week or so free charging when I get there. I was talking to a guy. Told him I used to take a back roads to East Brady. I started doing that with my mom in like 2004. He says, "Oh, you boated on the Allegheny River there?" He said, "It's pretty shallow." I said, "No, I was just taking a fall tour in the car, but actually in 2009 I took a very thin rowboat in a Clinton, I think it was Montgomery Ward's, made by Clinton, 3.5, and I had a spare one in the van. And as I'm pulling into the docks at East Brady on the Allegheny River, the truck's pulling out with the dock. I said, you couldn't time that any better. I wish I had the camera that day. That would have been funny as hell. As I'm pulling in, they're leaving with the dock, so I just set the boat down there on the boat ramp. And I told the guy, I said, he goes, "How far did you go?" I said, "Well, I figured I went 5 to 7 miles upstream." And then I got to a point where 3.5 horsepower wasn't getting me through some rapids. And whether I put in the oars and tried rowing with the motor going full strength, or I took the paddle out, each of those activities actually set me back. And when I stopped, I came to the same point. I said there was like 1 or 2 houses. One of them was a cabin. And I'm there for 15, 20 minutes. And I just picture this oversized guy in a 12-foot rowboat just parked there with the motor going full and not going anywhere. And the more he tries to go upstream, the more it goes backstream, back downstream. But I said, yes, it felt like 5 to 7 miles. And then I turned around and went back to the car. I said, it's maybe 2 miles at the most. It took so long to get where I was at. It felt like a long trip. It's like, damn, we're back already. But I figured, hey, I'm glad I went upstream. I might not ever heard from me again. And there's no logs north of East Brady, so all I needed was a little more oomph. Why do we pull over? Is because the wind might knock somebody's hood down or injure somebody trying to work on a car. I don't care if it's any car you try to pull over for, or you let somebody pull over, it's in the right lane. So that was my East Brady trip, and then my neck just went in a tailspin by the end of the year. But I got a little digital camera pictures from that day, and it was like November or something. It was just absolutely gorgeous trip. And when you're bedridden, most of the time you got to do something to think back on, or you suffer more when you're bedridden. I think we hit some things that day. We tilted the motor a bit or whatever so we wouldn't screw the prop up, but the whole point was to go upstream. Now they got this other boat. I could get a cheap motor like that, but it's going to have to be 7.5 horse. I want to see how far up I can go. Maybe the Oil City would be pretty cool. And then you just glide back down. But November, even if I made the trip, I would have gotten the dark. I had no lights or anything on the boat, so it was just one of those fall days that seemed warm, but when you went around a mountain, the shade gets you a little bit too cold. So there's an overlook called Brady's Bend or whatever that climbs up from East Brady, and like I was doing on the local videos last weekend, they're not cleared out like they used to be. I'm sure they hired people to clear out the trees and the brush because of the, people stopped and looked at stuff back then. They weren't in a hurry to get everywhere. And now you don't have, it's probably kind of dangerous to do that, and everybody's in a hurry to stop and look anyway. So we're going to stop and look at stuff. We're going to enjoy ourselves. We did the rat race long enough, and I was pretty damn good at it too. So we're down to adding them up, just 227 and a decimal more of range after 111 miles, and the cruise is on. I don't know what happened. I left with over 200 miles range from Presque back at the beginning of May, and I got home with not much range, and a lot of it was 55 with the cruise on, so as old as I am, it's kind of nice to drive with the cruise control. And the other thing about
in 2 miles, take exit 178A for I-90 east toward Buffalo.
So I was reading the Weiss manual and stuff on her Equinox, because like I said, they didn't tell us what this thing had. It had an incredible sound system. We did the free Sirius XM. They wouldn't let you wean off of this car for that, so she doesn't want anything. She's got a big enough car payment with that. Canceled that, canceled the OnStar, so I can't use the app on my phone and stuff. So we're going to go 90 east in a mile and a half. So I was checking into it's got the cruise control, adaptive. So we're going down to Wheeling a week and a half ago, and you turn on the cruise, and then you turn on the lane centering, and then you turn on the distance, and you can feel the thing helping you steer. I'm like, no way, we didn't know that when we bought it, so that's pretty cool. So it takes a lot of the workload off you when you're driving, and there was no ghost braking. I mean, we used it at night on the way back, and it was actually kind of a pleasure. I don't know how much it would steer on its own, but it's like you got a driving instructor and you're both chipping in.
In half a mile, take exit 178A for I-90 east toward Buffalo.
But her car's got a real good sound system in it too. It's an Equinox LT. You got to make sure your foot's on there when you got that signed up and stuff. But put our credit card in, and that's at 16 cents. So it's at 45 kilowatts going in. And we really didn't need a charge because we're going to be hitting the bike trail with a free charger. So far just 1 2/3 kilowatts. And I mean, they didn't accept the same credit card it did in Virginia. And the app is crap. Electrify America, send out some damn cards. So there's the Chatamo, rated only 50 kilowatts. The car can do 100 kilowatts. 50's fine. We have no hurry. We're retirement. So there she is, doing good. Cruise control, running up I-79. Don't need any heat. Don't need any AC today. AC doesn't drain much. We'll check a heat in the next over the winter and stuff. Washed the car last night. Did an old man wash. I missed a lot of spots. You can see a lot of the crevices and stuff. Still a lot of bugs on there. Got the Catrike in the back. Was the wife's. She hasn't used it. So the Mustang was here when I pulled in. He had to move over. He was in this the next spot for me. I'm not going to mess with the cables, so I took up the. I just pulled in. Electrify America Chatamo cables are like twice the girth of ChargePoint, EV Connect. What else? Whatever else we've used. We got cards for Flow, EVgo, and all that stuff. So Polestar's in here, and like I said, the Mustang backed in over there. He helped her. He's from New York, she's from Maryland, we're in Erie, Pennsylvania. I'm from Ohio. So it's a Polestar 2. It's got writing on here. So it's got 78 kilowatt hour battery. I guess 300 kilowatt motor maybe, is that what that means? So some pretty good size brake pads, Michelin tires. Everything looks pretty new. It's a nice sedan. It's reminds you of the Chrysler 300. It's kind of bulky and stuff. That's a different looking Walmart. And there's I-90. Storming Crab Courtyard by Marriott. Off to Lake Erie in the distance out there. To the north, you know. Well, the town of Erie and everything. And we'll put in our new destination once we get in the car. So, pretty cool. Polestar 2. Pretty awesome. And a Mustang Mach-E. And so I'm trying to do the app on Electrify America. And I entered a new card. I know there's a card on there. Nothing's working. It had me enter some kind of PIN, and now I got to enter a PIN to turn my phone on. So now when I get to Presque, I got to turn that crap off every time I take. Like I need that shit driving down the street. So I was just talking to the guy at Ford. He just loves electric cars, and he's thinking about getting one or whatever. So I was telling him that that's a Polestar in front of us. So I pulled in. I backed into the one of these down in Cambridge, and you really got to stress the cord to get it to the front of the car. So I said, well, I don't know what you call it when you ice spots an electric car, but we're taking up the big electric charging spot, and we're taking up the next spot because I'm not going to put the torque on the connector. I'd say the girth of the cable on this is twice as much as ChargePoint. So we've used ChargePoint, EV Connect, and then we used another brand somewhere else. But we got cards for Flow, we got cards for EVgo. And it's slow charging. It's at 40 kilowatts. It's in the bottom left of the screen on there. It says it's been here 17 minutes, and we've taken on almost 13 kilowatts and $2.73. And we're going to call them again to get our, well, I think it said 16 cents maybe kilowatt. I don't know. Well, 273, 16. That wouldn't add up right. I don't think, would it? I don't feel like doing the calculator. Oh, well, 75. Yeah, that could. Well, if it's 16 cents a kilowatt hour, I don't give a rat's behind. But I used the credit card from Boeing or whatever, and not acceptable. So I'm fighting with this app, and then, oh, you got to enter this PIN on your phone or this ain't going to work. What the hell is this about? So now I got to, I don't have grandkids to help with this stuff. My son. Now I got to get that PIN out of there or whatever. So I wouldn't take the first credit card, the same one I used in Whitfield, Virginia. So I used the Amazon credit card. And it accepted that, and you got to unplug the CHAdeMO, and I just pulled it out where the little light went on in the panel on the car. And then when it said plug back in, I just slid it in. Otherwise, you got to handle that humongous cable connector. Like I said, once you use these and then compare them to ChargePoint. Now, this guy I talked to in the Ford, he said these things have been here a long time. I said, yeah, Volkswagen's had these out a long time and stuff. So, well, there goes the Mustang. So he's got his quick charge. He was at the pump next to us when we came in. He doesn't seem to be real talkative or friendly, but he did help the lady there. So New York still's getting the old-fashioned plates front and back. They could go with a little better looking design. And what you want to know about New York State, the taxes are high. There's a lot of stuff you got to do if you live there. But that state pretty much takes care of all the other states. It is not a welfare state. Most states in this country take more money in from the federal government than they put out, and New York is not one of them. There might be one more. California used to be one. I think they're slightly off on that. So New York. All right. So Polestar 2, it's from Maryland, and she went into Walmart for something. I'd like to do a Maryland trip or whatever, and the very western point of Maryland, where it comes close to West Virginia, is where that Davis, West Virginia is, where they reported that car came from Washington, D.C. on Labor Day weekend. It had to be pushed by coal miners. Well, I can see hers to 73%, so she's charging quicker than me, probably. I don't know what she came in on, but I'm at 15 up, and like I said, I'm going to be parked on the bike trail for the free charging, so we're going to just hit like 80 or so. The only reason we've been here too long is because of the Electrify America problems. And every time I tell them, get the little card like everybody else has. But there's some reason they're just dragging their feet, and CHAdeMO's still down at the Cambridge, Ohio one, which was over 3 weeks ago. Mentor, Ohio's down. And at least nobody was at this Charger. At least he was at the next one over with the Mustang. So it took him at least 2 tries to get it right. So we're both at 74%, me and the Polestar. I don't know if you can see that. Wait a minute. What does it say? 58 now. Must be going back and forth. Maybe it's 58 minutes to a full charge. Oh, I went to 75. She's at 74. We're going to race here. Yeah, 58 minutes to a full charge maybe is what it says. You see it going back and forth. I'm up to 337. Hers, I don't see anything on her car. Well, I can see it. Hers is taking in 41 kilowatts so far. Mine's only done 16. She's been on 27 minutes and done 40 kilowatt hours. I've been on 22 minutes and only done 16. So there's your charge rate.